Hey yo, salute to the people. It's the social forecast. Today is Tuesday, December 10th, a little after 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope you all did something today to further your goals and to help you realize your dreams. Here's the disclaimer to this vlog. If you're someone who doesn't typically like to watch long vlogs, then I invite you to find your way to the next video. But if you're someone who's been affected by what it is I'm going to be talking about, which you have been, then I invite you to stay a while. And I apologize for the dark setting in this video, but it's a vibe and we're going to talk. And we got a lot to talk about and it's going to take a while. Now the first thing, the reason why I say every single one of us has been affected by what I'm going to be talking about is because as human beings, we are all subject to patterns of behavior. And one of the patterns of behavior that we all fall subject to when dealing with relationships with another person is comfortability. Not just comfortability, but feeling content. Contentment is a big part of the reason why so many relationships that have been labeled, whether from the outside or from the inside by one partner or both, as toxic, as unhealthy, as hurtful, we continue to stay in those relationships. I'm gonna give y'all a couple fun facts throughout this vlog, and I'm gonna try my best to explain from my perspective and from my experiences why I think those fun facts play the role in so much of the fucked up shit we deal with in relationships. Now here's the first thing: patterns of behavior. Now, we have all, every single one of us, every single person who watches this video, every single person who has ever lived, breathed, walked the face of this earth has been subject to the feelings that are associated with going through a breakup. But there are feelings on both sides, and it's a big misnomer, and most people may not realize or may not be conscious of. When two people in a relationship break up, right? This is the first fun fact. It's not just the person being broken up with who is in pain or who feels like they're going through something that's hard to go through. The person who ends the relationship is also going through those same feelings, those same emotions, the same roller coaster ride that the person who's broken up with go through. The only difference is, I would say, between the two is the person who's being broken up with doesn't always understand or have answers that they may have questions to. But I would even go a step further, and I would say a person who ends the relationship may even in some cases go through more of that roller coaster ride than the person who's being broken up with. Because when you're being broken up with, a lot of times you can feel like, damn, like, I really fuck with this person. You know, I really miss this person. I don't necessarily know why it ended, for those of you who have those questions. I can't really get the answers that I'm looking for. You feel like, as the person being broken up with, you have no power in that relationship, or, you know, the fact that it ended, and you have no control over when, where, or even if that person's ever going to talk to you, give you the answers you need, give you the closure that we all need in those situations. But this is the thing, right? Talk about patterns of behavior. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your station in life is. I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what your gender identity is. We are all subject as human beings to patterns of behavior. Even the most psychotic, mentally deranged, sociopathic serial killers are subject to patterns of behavior. So much so that we have whole professions of people called profilers whose job it is to dissect and investigate and build profiles on these types of individuals, because a serial killer, for example, is so subject to the patterns of behavior that we as human beings are subject to, that they cannot deviate from those patterns of behavior. In the profiling world, they call it a signature. Every serial killer has a signature. And criminal law, they refer to people who commit crimes and how they classify those crimes, and a lot of times how prosecutors will prosecute those crimes. They call it an MO, but it's not just the manner in which something is done. It's the opportunity. It's the method that is used. It's the mindset behind it. It's the intent. All these things reference in some way, shape, or form patterns of behavior. We're all subjected to them. The person that you're dealing with, that you're sleeping with every night, that you sleep next to every night, the person that you are dating or married to or engaged to, have children with, they have a pattern of behavior. And before I can even get into breakup, this is why I said let's reflect, because before I can get into the breakup, you have to go back to the beginning of the relationship. Until we're able to start our relationships off in such a way that would allow for the lines of communication to be unbiasedly and unequivocally open, we're never going to be able to solve the problems that come up when we deal with a breakup. But before you can get to that point, you have to understand not just the person that you're dealing with, but you have to understand the person that they're dealing with. You have to understand you. You have to know you. You have to be so in tune with you that there is not, how you hear, these cliche things like, oh, I know you better than you know yourself. That should never exist. That is a fault. There's a problem there if another person knows you better than you know yourself. I understand. It's romantic cliche. We hear it iterated and reiterated in movies throughout history. We read it in books. But no person alive should know you better than you know yourself. Period. You should know yourself so well that you don't even get into a majority of the problems and situations that people in relationships find themselves in. Because the majority of us don't know ourselves. Not in any true and honest form when we really think about it. So, let's talk about breakup from the aspect of the person who is doing the breaking up with, right? The person who's ending the relationship. I would venture to say 8 out of 10 people who break up with their partner don't truly know what it is they're breaking up with their partner over. I would venture to say 8 out of 10 people don't really know the reason why their relationship is falling apart. But I would venture to say this. There's one advantage that the person ending a relationship has over the person who is being broken up with. And that is, on some level, the person ending the relationship on some level knows themselves enough to know that relationship is not for them. They may not understand why. They may not understand how and when exactly they got to that understanding. But if a person who, for all intents and purposes, was happy in that relationship from the outside looking in, says that they have all the feelings that we typically associate with people who are in relationships with one another. The feelings of being in love and liking the time that they spend with that person. All that cookie cutter bullshit. If that person is ending that relationship, it doesn't mean that they don't have the same feelings anymore. Because that's another thing too. That's another fun fact. A lot of people think that when a person ends a relationship, it's because they are totally devoid of feelings for that partner. And a lot of times that can be the farthest from the truth. Like I said, most people don't know why they're ending their relationship. Some people get scared at prospects of the future. Some people will start planning for a future with a partner. And then, for whatever reason, the reality of the seriousness of that relationship and the premonition of those next steps could be enough, even if subconsciously, to make that person walk away from that relationship. And that doesn't happen too often. Usually a person will sabotage that relationship rather than end it. When a person goes to the extent of ending the relationship, there's something else there. There's something else that may or may not have anything to do with that partner. It may or may not have anything to do with the person ending the relationship, but there's something there, and only that person, no matter what advice you seek or get from other people, no matter what suspicions you may have or answers you may try to come up with in your mind, sometimes there's just no answers, and sometimes only that person can provide you with answers. And if you're not 100% in tune and prepared for that time, that period in which a person comes to you and says, listen, this shit just ain't working out, however they put it to you, if you're not prepared for that, then you're going to be in a situation it's going to be very hard to get over. Because what I found is that, and this could be a subconscious thing, a lot of people who are broken up with, they feel like they're losing something that's better than the reality of what that relationship was. This is a real thing. I want y'all really to pay attention to what I just said. You could be in a relationship. You can have complaints, issues. You can have times in that relationship where you feel like it's really not the best relationship for you. But because we operate off of feelings, emotions, connection as human beings, those connections, feelings will supersede the reality of what that relationship is really like. And then when someone ends it, you feel like you want it more, or you feel like you're missing out on something great. And it's not to say that you're not. But when something is taken from us, it's a natural reaction. It's human nature for us to feel like we're losing something more than what we're losing because it's being taken from us. You don't necessarily feel like you're losing something when you give it back, but when someone takes it from you, there's another level of, I don't know, violation there, or feeling like, yo, I don't have control. And we as human beings don't rock with that. We don't like that. It's not a good feeling. For the person who breaks up with you, and no matter who you are, you've either been broken up with or you've broken up with someone else. And think about it. If you've been in a relationship where you've broken up with someone, really try to go back to that moment if it's not recent, and really try to understand, what was the reason why I wanted that relationship to end? What was the reason why things had gotten so bad to the point where I decided to walk away rather than to fix it? I want y'all to really think about that, because that plays a big role in what it is we're going to be talking about later. Now, to keep this video from getting ridiculously long, I'm going to break it up into parts. I don't know how many parts yet, but I'm going to try to make it digestible. I don't want to make the video too crazy long, because I want y'all to follow it. Because like I said, every single one of us has dealt with breakup in some way, shape, or form, some form or fashion. If you're lucky enough to have never been broken up with, then that means that you've broken up with people. And if you haven't broken up with anyone, then you've been broken up with. So from either side of the coin, we've all experienced this. The next thing I want to talk about, which I'm going to make another video, a second part to this one, I want to talk about the differences between men versus women when a relationship ends. Because contrary to public opinion and contrary to popular belief, men deal with the very same emotional pitfalls and downturns when a relationship ends as women do. We're just not all programmed and experienced enough to deal with it in the same way. I'll see you on the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe. I hope this video has piqued your interest. We're going to talk about this, and it's going to get deep, but I invite y'all to take this walk with me, take this ride with me, and see if we can get to the bottom of some of the misnomers and I apologize. Some of the misnomers and some of the historically wrong perceptions and assumptions when it comes to breakup and how men versus women deal with it. Because I think, coming from a man's perspective, I think a lot of women would be interestingly surprised to really know just how men deal with breakup. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. Let's talk about breakup, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love.